Hello, friends. It is Friday, November 10th, 2017. It is late at night, as you can tell. I wasn't really planning on doing a video. Just didn't really feel like there was anything to say. And I don't even know if I'll finish this video or even post this up, so who knows? Not even really sure why I am recording. Maybe it's just finishing a work week. And the relaxation of a work week finished. And looking forward to the weekend. And it's sort of funny how I used to describe times like this, just felt like the best, right? Where the expectation of what you think your days off are gonna be never seem to turn out that way, but you can at least sit in your car when you finish the work week and just sort of enjoy the fantasy of what it's going to be like. Even that doesn't really seem to be there anymore, but I suppose nothing is really forever, is it? It seems like little by little, you lose more and more of your little pleasures in life. It is day 56 of NOFAP, I believe, and day 49 of no alcohol and my low carb diet. But who's really keeping track at this point? And I have wondered if I should stop just making every single video about that. Even though I know I talk about more than that, but you know, at this point, what else is there really to say about it? And these days, sorry folks, don't have any approach videos. I sort of honestly don't even really care anymore right now. Maybe it's a flatlining. If I recall what they call it in the NOFAP world, or maybe it's just you start getting older. The hormones is Family Man, and yes, I did watch your video, sir. Family Man 20 made another video for me. Check his channel out if you're looking for somebody else to watch. Maybe it's just sort of some of the decline in hormones that happen when you get older. Who knows? Who knows? It's almost freeing in a way, though, I have to say. And maybe it's the staying away from watching porn so you don't get that lust artificially driven in you. And like I said, there's something very freeing about it. Of just But yeah, I don't necessarily want to make some big old identity about how, I don't masturbate. Although I suppose it does bring in the viewers, right? But, I don't know. I might just go back, might not necessarily start titling every video NOFAP, whatever, so. Oh, who's really keeping track at this point? I'm taking most of this week off in terms of exercise. I did dips on Tuesday, and it became very apparent that my body can't quite handle the 4-day-a-week exercise routine I'm doing. So I'm going to have to scale it back down to 3 days. And I'm just taking the rest of the week off to recover, because I could really feel it in my elbow joints, just very worn out, you know. And if you fuck up your elbows, well, you fuck up a lot of things. So I don't want to mess with that. It's hard to describe. Just like you kind of flex your arms and there's just like a general sort of stiffness and in the elbow region, and just doing the exercises, you could feel, you know, it's hard to put a word on it, but you can just feel that you're not recovering, which I feel like I did not have that issue when I was just doing 3 days a week. So that's all right, folks. You know, sometimes the body cannot quite do what the mind thinks it can and what the mind wants to do, you know. So that's all right. It's not a big deal. I know what routine I'll do. So like I said, I want to back off from any potential overtraining and or injuries that I might accrue by doing what I was doing. It's so just rest up while I continue dieting and start on Monday and hopefully kind of avoid any more issues. So oh man. It feels sort of absurd in a way, doesn't it, folks? It all feels very absurd in some sort of way, doesn't it? What do I mean by that? Oh, you need to do all these exercises so you can look a certain way, even though you don't normally do anything that would give you that form whatsoever, right? You know, it's not like olden days where you were some sort of warrior, so you naturally, due to whatever exertion you did, would become muscular or whatever, or, you know, you worked on a farm or something like that and you got farm strong, or some other sort of profession. It's this well, what exercises work this and make that larger so I can get a certain look, even though I don't really do anything else that would contribute to me looking this way, or the you gotta develop your social skills so you can say the right things to make people feel the right way, so somebody likes something and you can make the people around you feel good, or some crap like that. Or you gotta have interesting hobbies, or you can meet somebody and something and people find you interesting, and you gotta walk with a good posture so people think you're an alpha male or something like that, and on and on and on it goes. There's just you gotta dress a certain way that looks fashionable so people don't think you're something else, and on and on and on it seems to go, right? The infinite number of seemingly self-improvement things that you you need to try. Oh, and you should see somebody so it can help you out. You gotta take some medication. Oh, so it produces the right chemicals in your head. It all just sort of feels like dumb little band-aids, folks. Dumb little band-aids for, oh, you should start, you know what cures depression? You should go for jogs and listen to classical music, because that's what's ailing you. You just gotta move, man. You just gotta move. Move your body. All of the infinite number of suggestions, folks. And at the end of the day, you're the only one who really knows you. You're the only one who really knows what's going on in your head. What's truly eating you up inside, as much as you don't necessarily share that with others, right? Because let's be honest, we've all got our skeletons in the closet, so to speak, right? For as open as we might be, we don't really share everything, do we? And you start following some of the suggestions or whatever it might be, and while they might be good suggestions, you know, it's just there's, like I said, something absurd on the face of it, of just all these, feels like little band-aids for a wound that's much harder to, it's not going to get taken care of by your little this and that, whatever it might be. You know, maybe what you're into, what's truly bugging you, feels almost overwhelming, doesn't it? That's not just, oh, I'll get a six-pack and suddenly everything's wonderful, right? A sense of purpose, a sense of meaning, that your life has something, some sort of purpose. Hey man, you should travel. You should travel. You've been spending too much time in your room in the same place. You should travel and see something different, because, you know, it's a fun one to hear. Apparently, you haven't been paying attention to what globalism has done to the world. It's made literally every place the fucking same, but, you know, oh, you should travel. Yeah. You should see what the hotels look like in this other country or this other place. Everything is becoming exactly the same. But you should travel, man. You should travel. You can see the exact same stores, exact same shops, same hotels, same, all the same shit that's now just everywhere. You know, you'd almost think people, like, you know, the world these days, like, it's not some sort of RPG where every area is sort of different and whatever. Like, no, here's your globalism. Guess what? It's all the fucking same now. Some places are worse than others, but that's where it's going. And I fully realize if this is sort of all over the place. After all, I wasn't even really sure where I was going with this. I will agree with Kent. You know, if you're familiar with good old Kentray, where he sort of talks about these people who endlessly say that things will work out. You know? You always hear this whole things will work out. You'll figure things out. You'll this, you'll that. It's sort of that nice, comforting, oh, if you suffer long enough, things will eventually work out. And he's got a great point where, you know, it's sort of just these things that people tell you. I mean, for some of you out there, I mean, honestly, how many times do you keep hearing that, yeah? How many times over the years have you been told that? Oh, come on, man, you're a smart guy, or this or that. Things will sort of work out. And that's what you tell yourself too. Eventually things will just work themselves out. Once I've suffered long enough. Now, you know, I'm not trying to be melodramatic or anything with that, but you know what I mean. Once you've suffered long enough, eventually you'll get yours, right? It'll be your turn. And it seems like no matter how long it goes, never seems to be your turn, right? Things never really seem to improve. And you still keep hearing that I mean, it's understandable, right? It's the nice thing to say that people, oh no, I know things are tough, but eventually you'll figure something out. And I mean, do you want to tell somebody like, yeah, you're probably fucked. Yeah, sorry. But it's another one of those things that it feels when you're a bit younger, you know, it's all right. Once you get older and you sort of compare that to all the other times, all the years that you've heard that, it's another thing that feels absurd on the face of it. Not because you get angry at people for telling you that, but because it's like, you know, maybe you believed it, right? 20 years, 30 years will have gone by. You'll be in your 40s, 50s, whatever, and people will still be telling you that. At what point do you admit that maybe it's over, folks? Maybe it is over. It is over, and it is too late. That you are, for the most part, probably a fucking loser. Now, what does that mean? What do you mean too late, man? It's never too late, right? You know, technically, no. It's not so much whether it's too late to change things, but whether or not changing anything will really make a difference anymore for you, to affect the inside, so to speak. It's a good question, folks, wouldn't you say? That's not to say you shouldn't try to change anything, but can you really have some sort of hope attached to it? Oh, once I finally get in shape and muscular or this and that and whatever, and finally I won't suffer anymore, and I'll finally be happy, and things are just gonna work themselves out, and blah blah blah. More of this sort of hopeless cope, you know? Finally, it will be mine turn for some sort of happiness and fulfillment. I remember a couple of days ago, so some of my coworkers will use this sort of messaging app. Nothing official work provides, but we just kind of set up an account there to not have to go through emails, or just more of a direct chat for like some questions, some help, sort of blah blah blah, whatever. And I received a message from a co-worker. It was somebody that I actually asked out, I think earlier this year. I know I brought it up in one of the videos, and you know, kind of gave me a no, but in a very sort of amusing way, right? I give it to her, sort of, sorry, yeah, you're really interesting too, but I'm currently not accepting applications for a boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right, whatever. It was a nice rejection, right? You know, it was more like a direct message, and just sort of asking me about, you know, oh, so do you like only eat once a day so that you actually have something to look forward to at the end of your shift? You know, obviously I could tell by the question and some of the conversations I've had with this person that, you know, they're a little bummed out at work and just maybe life and stuff like that. And I just gave a little backstory of why I eat once a day, and just, you know, my issues with sort of alcohol and stuff like that. So we just kind of chatted a little bit, and I had this little fantasy in my head, maybe a little hope, right, of this person I was interested in. Maybe, just maybe they sort of changed their mind and whatever. Maybe they have some renewed interest in me, right? How about that, folks? Somebody that you're interested in, who's also around your age, also being interested back in you, right? I just sort of had this vision in my head of like, oh, maybe after work. I wasn't serious about it, but like I said, there was a little bit of a fantasy / hope in there. So like I said, it was kind of a random out of the blue message, so you know, you're just like, that finally, oh man, wouldn't it be cool to just, none of this whole whoever you're interested isn't interested in you, and you know, the few people who might be interested in you, you just don't like them that much in the same way. So and I don't know why I did that. Looking back now, quite silly, you know, oh, maybe after work, whatever, she'll like send a message and be like, hey man, how's it going? You still interested in whatever? I'd see it in my head, sort of playing out, and it was just like, but no, afraid not. So like I said, it seems to be these constant little things we tell ourselves of, oh man, maybe there's some hope, or maybe there's some this or that, but it never seems to really work out, does it? It just seems to constantly be these little things that we tell ourselves to get excited or keep going or just this and that. Like I said, maybe, just maybe, eventually, finally, it'll be my turn for something, right? For some amount of little happiness. You got to tell yourself something to keep going, right? At least in the traditional sense of it. But at what point, like I said, is it too late? That you're tired of having hope, you just don't fucking care anymore. Tired of hearing about and thinking about how, oh, eventually it'll work out, or if I just do this, this, and this, finally it'll something, right? I've got to be honest. If I were to get laid, just for the sake of getting laid, and whether it was to see a prostitute or somebody had pity on me, to have some sort of pity sex, whatever, I honestly think I would probably be worse off. Oh, well, at least you got the virgin thing out of the way and you don't have to think about it anymore. I think the damage is probably already done, and like I said, it would probably leave me worse off than really help. If there's anything that I'm finding out, is that definitely the reality versus expectation, reality tends to be not that exciting for what you think. And I sort of talked about, oh man, I just really want a girlfriend. That's all I really want. I just want a girlfriend, and you can do whatever, the relationship stuff, and you have somebody to share your life with, whatever. I've described it before. If somebody agreed to actually date me and blah blah blah, folks, what would I honestly do with them? when you don't enjoy doing anything, you don't even enjoy being alive, what difference does it make? Oh, go here, go there. You don't... When you don't even want to leave your room, what are you going to honestly do with another person? Well, maybe you'll be motivated to, like, you might be able to put on a mask for a little bit and to pretend to enjoy, oh, yes, let's go here and let's watch Netflix or whatever. But the reality, folks, is you just don't fucking care anymore. You know, you might pretend to smile and shake their, you know, if I may borrow, you know, a shitty paraphrase quote from American Psycho, you know, it's, you might put on a smile and be there and pretend to talk and pretend to give a shit about anything being said, but the reality is you're just not there anymore. And how long will that last, you know? How long will that last? Oh, what if, you know, that one girl that I talked to in whatever store that was it Jocelyn or something? Oh, what if she stood there and you asked for a number and she gave it to you and agreed for coffee? Great. You think she's not going to figure out pretty damn quick that you are kind of a broken person with nothing going on? Think they're going to stick around? Like I said, and are you even still going to have that interest? How long can we keep telling ourselves, folks, that there's hope? And I don't think it necessarily has to be a depressing thing. Maybe in a certain sense there's almost something freeing about it. Nobody really wants to admit that they're probably a loser. And I don't mean that in some sort of like mopey, I just want to feel sorry for myself, but as a very genuine, like, you know, very genuine and honest sort of self-diagnosis. Oh no, don't say that. Don't know. It's the you gotta believe in yourself and have confidence, man. But nobody ever seems to want to talk about what you should be confident in. You know, for you to be confident in yourself, there has to be something there to drive the confidence. Otherwise, it's just sort of empty words where you say, oh, I'm not bad looking. I'm a great guy. I'm a great person. Well, if that was the case, why are you still single and in your 30s and nobody really pays attention to you, you know? You walk into a room and you have girls look at you. When you walk by in the street or something, you know, you might be the one checking out girls. Does anyone give a shit that you're there? The reality. Oh, you got so much to offer, man. Don't say that. You got so much to offer. Once again, why are you still single? Sure, maybe if you were 16, 17, maybe your early 20s, but you start getting into your later 20s and plus, and there's no prospects and all blah blah blah, you know? When are you going to probably admit that you're probably kind of a loser and you don't really have anything that anyone is looking for? Be honest. Be honest, because, it's the... I see plenty of ugly guys who something. Well, why are you still single? Gotta face it, if you being a loser doesn't have anything to really offer anyone, if that was a false statement and was wrong, and once again, I don't mean that in some mopey, feel sorry for myself way, it's just sort of being honest with yourself. If that was a false statement, I mean, why are you in your 30s still living with your parents? Single, never done anything with a girl, nobody generally pays attention to you or sort of gives a shit that you're there. Don't say that. Just keep having hope, man. Maybe eventually things will work themselves out. Maybe if you just wait long enough. You have so much to offer. That's why they're absolutely lining up at a chance to get to know you. Just be confident. You can't put yourself down. You gotta think very highly positively of yourself, even though there is literally nothing to show for it whatsoever. Well, my hope is gone. I don't care anymore. Things aren't going to work themselves out. See you later.